building our organization back based on our five values has been, very, very powerful. Hi, I'm Rob Castaneda. I'm the CEO of Service Rocket, based here. I'm an Australian, but living and working in Palo Alto, California. A little bit about us is, this is a company that I started back in 2001, just before I graduated, and with the belief that, great training and great support is what is needed to make software successful and help enterprises get the most out of their software and help software companies sell more software. My father is from El Salvador, and he moved to Australia in the 70s, and I had the opportunity to travel to El Salvador for work, and I did that, and got to see the other side of the family, but I also got to see most of all what opportunity I have been given, and I guess from that point I was always using that as motivation, and anytime I've had to choose between, hey, do I take it easy or do I go hard? You just have to remember some of the opportunity that was in front, that I have that others didn't have, and that makes choices pretty easy. So for me, that's just I think just to always remember where I came from. On the business side of things, it took me a long time to become very, very confident in my own gut and my own decisions. And I was always seeking for external validation, like, is this right? Is this right? And after making enough bad decisions and realizing that I was probably listening and trying to validate other people versus listening to what my gut feel was saying, and now I listen to my gut a lot more, but temper it with that feeling of being blessed. So it's not, hey, I'm right because I feel I'm right. It's right, but does it balance with everything else that's happening around me? In Australia, it's legal to work, I think, once you're 14 years and 9 months old, and that was the day I started working. And my dad had me washing trucks at IKEA, and then working in the warehouse at IKEA Furniture. That's where he worked, in the warehouse. And I had a big focus on customer service and trying to solve logistical problems, right? Customers would order furniture and things were missing or things weren't there. And there's just always this feeling of completion when you explain to people what the solution is, or you work it out. And so translating that into software, my first job was working on the help desk at Borland Software and dealing with similar things, right? Even though it wasn't, hey, I've got a broken bookcase with 3 missing screws and an Allen key. It's, hey, I got this software, it's not working, what can you do for me? Except the problems were a little bit bigger, right? Hey, the company's not working, or some other process was stuck. And so I would take on those cases kind of the same, right? You empathize and put yourself in that position. What became pretty clear to me was that in business, and specifically IT, there's probably a lot of empathy missing in general. And I think that's because we're moving at such a fast pace. We don't have time for people to wait for people. Hey, this is the latest version, upgrade now. And whereas I enjoyed doing support, I enjoyed doing training, because in training you had that same feeling of helping somebody, but there wasn't the stress of a problem, right? So training's like, wow, you've showed me something really cool, and there's not a gun to my head to fix a problem. So it's actually really cool. When things go wrong in the company, the first question we ask is the person okay? Right? Not what the hell happened, or starting to blame somebody for them, for the mistake. And I think once you do that enough, then there's a feeling of security, knowing that, hey, I can screw something up, and I'm not going to be, burnt at the stake for it. And you have to balance that with being accountable. But at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? And especially in the knowledge economy, right? And it's expensive to have people turn over. These myths of some of these other companies where, somebody did a bad presentation and they're fired and moved on, and I don't see how any real business with a soul can function that way, and grow if there's always this fear of, okay, I'll make one bad step and I'm shot. Obviously depending on how severe that bad step was, right? If it's criminal, it's a different thing. So I think if you've got that environment of building from the bottom up and that org chart upside down, and it's okay to fail, and things are very data driven and asynchronous. And by asynchronous, I mean we don't have to wait for the next meeting to ask a question. Information flows 24 hours a day. Then I think that there's an environment that those that want to grow can grow, and I love that. I started this business before I graduated. My first job in IT was given to me when I was 17, and I've always loved relishing in that opportunity of just, I'll have a shot at it, right? Anytime I'm talking to a team member, or I'm delivering a company talk at our all hands meeting, I'm always putting myself in the position of the most bored person in the audience, or the someone who's got stress, saying, look, Rob, say what you got to say because I've got a support call to handle, or I've got a crisis at home, and or something else. So it's not. So for me, it's always thinking like that, to think, okay, well, how am I relevant to my team, and how can I get them to see the org chart the way I see it? And I see the org chart not like this, I see it upside down. And it's my job to, if we're an apple tree, I've got to pick up all the apples or all the other stuff that falls down. And my job as a leader is to build a leadership team that can catch as many of those apples as they can, so I don't have to catch them. But in the event that one of them drops it, I need to be there. So one very key thing that we've done now for 11 years is everybody in our team, be it from leadership team through to person in their first week, maintains and contributes to their own blog, and shares thoughts, shares articles, and shares directions of where they're going, challenges, and so forth. And I've been doing that. I've got thousands of blogs that I've put out over the 11 years that we've been doing that. And that's now a natural thing to me, where the team, even my direct reports, know that things will come out in the blog even before they might know about them. And that's a hard thing for some people to understand, because they're more used to a hierarchical. Now, obviously, if it's a major change, we'll have a quick meeting and give a heads up. But a lot of the thinking and ideas and innovative things that I'll do, I'll just directly share with the team, saying, hey, this looks pretty cool. This company here has a great product. I wonder how we can take some of those concepts and apply them to a different domain that we're looking at. And the answers and comments come back from all over the world, right? And I always say to our company meetings that none of us is as dumb as all of us. And then kind of meaning that if we don't communicate well, the left arm and the right arm aren't going to know what we're doing. Little things we've done with empowering. When people start with us, we can either give them a machine, or we can pay them to bring and use their own laptop. And we've been running that for a number of years now. I guess to the point where maybe out of the 25 people in Palo Alto, maybe 2 or 3 have company supplied equipment, and the rest have their own machine. It's like, well, we'll pay you to use your own laptop. And they do the sums, and they're like, wow, after 1 year, I'm making money. It's like, yeah, you can have it, right? And again, it's not only that, it's the transparency behind the program. So the way we worked out the amount was, guys, here's what we would normally buy you in 3 years and how much we would pay. And you can have that amount divided by 36, right? And we update it every 6 months to a year. We'll go through and re-quote what we would normally do, and the amount that people get is that amount times divided by 36. Little things like that we encourage each of the teams to build, help things scale, but it also prevents this kind of political control. Whereas if someone had all the ideas of which laptops people get and all of that kind of stuff and set the prices arbitrarily, then it's open to interpretation and mistrust. I think where there is key data that you're looking at and you feel like, hey, we could, we should, I would, right? So they could have, would have, should have. I go back to my first job at Borland, and a good friend of mine, we both came up with this, one of my mentors, we came up with the saying, which was, hey, you could have, you would have, you should have, but you didn't, so shut up, right? And so whenever I have this, wow, we could, oh, definitely should, whenever I find myself talking like that, that comes back to mind. I'm like, well, why aren't I doing this? And I don't want to be the guy at the party that's talking about what you could, should, or would do. I want to talk about what we have done, right, or what we chose not to do. And so that's a big driver for me, is listening to that. And I think a lot of the thoughts and things that I have are not really verbal, and they're just gut feel. And I think you need to, well, I need to, maybe it's just the way I'm wired and I'm a little bit slow, but I need to take time off and walk, or just think about some of those things and let them come out. And try and make sense of them, because I think my brain is always at work. And just because the connection between my brain and my mouth is not always great. You can ask my wife that. And but I think, understanding that and not just putting it aside to get rid of it, right? I think is something that I wish I had learned that much earlier. I did a talk last week at a business group for athletes, and I was the only athlete not at the table, right? Because I was the only non-athlete at the table. And the thing that we spoke about, or that I wanted to focus on, was values. And an organization without values is really just more of a machine, right? And the difference between a machine and people is the values that we share. And the sum is greater than the individual parts. And so building our organization based on our 5 values, delight the customer, share the knowledge, think team, focus on the outcome, and talk straight, has been, very, very powerful for us to do that. And when we put that infrastructure in place, or that foundation stone, everybody in the company contributed to building those values. And there's never been a minute, hour, or day, or any situation that's come up that we haven't been able to answer with those values, or we've ever felt conflicted with those values. And that means we've done it okay. The fact that you can't go to an online inspiration website and buy those values means a lot. So that's a huge foundation stone for us.
Wow.